Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Coinex and I'm happy to have you guys back here in Coinex the producer. Today's video is gonna be a very short one. We are going to be talking about how to figure out the key of your drums and how to tune your drum sample to the key of your project. And if that sounds interesting to you, sit tight while I put you through on my preferred approach or techniques of tuning drums in a project to the key of that project. And I will be focusing on the kick drum. One of the videos I've done, I think that is 1 year ago, I talked about this, but let's say that this is more like an upgrade to that previous video. So I will quickly show you how I can dictate the key and how I can tune any drum sample I'm working on. So without wasting much of our time, let's dive right into it. So as you can see on the screen, I'm actually working on a project, my personal song. So this is just a raw instrumentation and a little bit of the voice, so but I will preview you so that you know what we are working with. Why yo 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 yo, oh no, why yo yo yo, yeah, this love shall not fade. Okay, so that will be it. Now, it is highly recommended to pay very close attention to your drum samples. You need to choose the right sample. You need to choose the samples that have this relationship. What I mean by that is they are not really struggling to sit in the mix with each other, because I don't really believe in this thing they say that you fix it in the mix. No, I prefer to get everything right during the sequencing stage to the recording before you talk about the mixing. And just to add, I made a couple of researches about this. Then I came to the conclusion that all these world-class music producers and sound engineers, mixing engineers and all of that, they have this standard that almost majority of them try to work with. Why I'm saying this is because I tried so many records, professional records out there. I tried it while I was experimenting this, and when I was playing them through the spectrum analyzer I discovered something. I discovered that 5 out of 10 of the songs that I played, for example, if 2 or 3 of them are programmed in a certain key, let's say key F, I discovered that when you run the analysis on that record, you would discover that the kick drum is hitting on a particular key. This that I'm talking about now, I tried it with so many songs. It was really surprising. I'm like, oh wow, I never saw it, I never thought about it that way. But having gone through that experiment, it taught me a whole lot. So now that brings us to circle of fifth. Yeah, you might be wondering why bringing up circle of fifth in this discussion. Yes, I discovered that, take for example, if they are working on a project on a key of F major, it's either the kick is hitting when you run the analysis with span or FabFilter Pro Q3, you discover that it's either is hitting on the root note, which is F major, or it is hitting on the fifth of that root, which is key C. So I tried so many records and they are all doing almost the same thing, and I'm like, oh wow, I think this is it. So to further explain what I mean, I will call up this site where they have this circle of fifth diagram. I discovered that when the song is programmed on key F, the fifth of F major is C, the fifth of D minor is A minor, just like that. So I now discovered that, take for example, they are working on A flat. It's either the kick is hitting on the root note or is hitting on the fifth. I don't have any explanation for that. To be honest with you, I am not good at music theory and stuff like that, but this is just common sense and deep observation I try as much as possible to pay attention to what is happening on the analyzer. So these are the things I figured out, and I'm like, okay, I will try this on my production. And ever since I've started applying this on my production, I've been having a way quality sounding output. Believe you me, everything sits right, everything blends well. I don't do much anymore to get a certain output. This really helped me. So that is what I will be sharing to you guys today, so that you see my own preferred approach to how to tune your kick drum or any other drum sample, be it snare drum, hi-hats, percussions, whatever it is, to sit right with the key of the project. So having said that, before I go to FL Studio, I want to explain this just for clarifications. So now, the reason for the fifth is, I don't know, but this is some of the articles I read. This is what I deduced from what they were saying. So if your root note is on key F and you tune your kick to C, it will still work because it falls under the triad of that root note. But I was actually wondering why they don't take the third to do that. They actually choose the fifth. I don't know, but I know there is a real reason for that. But believe you me, working with the fifth in this case, it's simply magical. It works so well. So now that brings us to the relationship with your bass guitar and the kick. This also contributes in making it sit right. When you really pay attention to this and understand how it works and apply it on your project, you see yourself not having much need to start ducking the bass out of the way for the kick to come in, to side chaining and things like that. When you carry out this process, you see yourself halfway through achieving that relationship, that glue with the bass and the kick drum. So for me, what I prefer doing is, if my project is in the key of F major, I usually like to keep my kick on the fifth. But see, it is not always like that. One of the things that stands as a determinant factor here is the nature of the song, and second of all, it depends on the texture of the kick. Take for example, if you are to program your song in, let's say, key of A, and you want to apply this principle by placing your kick on key of E, that is actually pitching your kick. So it's actually going to change the tonality, So, but I have a way that helps me to take care of that. So what is that? I decide which will reside where. If the kick will take up the roots or the fifth, and also if the bass will take up the fifth or the roots, just to balance the whole thing. But the point here is, when doing these changes, make sure you judge with your ear, because wherever they occupy, once they sound nice there, you will know, so you stick to that. So I believe I've said a lot about this. Forgive me if my explanation is not that clear. So without wasting much of our time, let's just go into the demonstration part of it. So I call up FL. Now this is the kick sample I will be using. As you can hear, at this point I will just have to solo this. So now, looking at this window, this envelope, you notice that I've changed the key on this sampler, but I will reset it, then I will explain everything I did. I reset it. The original default position is C5, and on the channel there, okay, nothing is there, but on the master, as you can see, on the master, I will throw in span, I'll just leave it where it is. I'll leave it on the kick, I think, on channel 1. Yeah, that's the kick. So on span, what I normally do is this. But before I continue, there are a few settings you need to do here so that you have the maximum performance of this span. You go to your settings here, or you take this to the highest or something above 16,000. I usually keep it 32. And what next? I increase this guy, I reduce this dude. I think that's pretty much what I do. Then I come under user, I click on high resolution. So okay, one more thing is this. I'll set this to max so that it holds the graph. Perfect. So now we have our kick, the default. Now as you can see in FL, it's usually from C5, the default of this sampler. So the first thing I do here is when I preview the kick, so now I hover over to the highest point, and as you can see is on F sharp. So that is to say that F sharp is the root original note of this kick sample. That is the key of the sample, the key the sound designer produced this sample with. But my project is in key F. So how do I handle this? Before I continue, let's reconfirm something. I will show you another thing I do in FL. I go here, I right click and I click on edit in audio editor. When it comes up, you go to this region and you click on dictate pitch region, and as you can see is a confirmation that the span reading is correct, because here we saw F sharp and here is also F sharp. So now this is how I approach, this is how my own preferred way of handling this. The first thing I do is I go right here and I edit it in pitch corrector. The reason for this is I love this particular tool in FL Studio, the new tone. This gives you the visual feedback of exactly where the sample resides, and as you can see, yes, it's on F sharp, but sometimes it doesn't really sit right. This one is sitting right because I've already done this before. So but in a situation whereby it's not sitting right, all you need to do is either you just right click here and it will adjust itself, or you use this center knob and draw it all the way right. In some cases I like correcting, as you can see on the display here, I like correcting all these things. This is more like the vibration or the vibrato or whatever. I like correcting it, but most of the times when you correct it, it affects the tone of the kick. So you just have to judge with your ears. And how do you correct it? You just go on the variations and take it down. Why are we doing this? we want to be very sure that the kick sample is 100% on the key we say it is on. Okay, so when you do this, you preview the kick, and as you can see, the correction I made did not even affect the kick. So after doing that, you just drag it from here and replace it, but I've already done that, so I'm not going to replace it. So back to the master, I'm gonna deactivate this and editing. So now we are now sure that the kick is on 100% F sharp major. So how do we now take this sample from F sharp to key of F? But remember, I said my own preferred way. I love keeping my kick on the 5th of the root notes. So my target is to take it to key of C major. So how do we do that? So for those that don't know how to find the 5th of the roots, that is where this diagram comes in handy. So now the root note of my project is key of F major. So my target is to take my kick drum sample to the key of C, which is the 5th of this F major root. So back in FL, all I do is, now we are sure that this sample is 100% F sharp, right? So we move here to this envelope. Then under here, we just go straight to the roots of the original kick sample, which is F sharp, like we saw here. So when we look for it, you just right click, and when you right click, you've set it. But that's not all. Pay close attention over here. See, when I placed the mouse here, it's F sharp, and close to it by the right hand side, you are seeing minus 26 cents. Now I will tell you what I do with that. That cent is actually the fine tuning of this sample. So, and this is where I do the fine tuning, and as you can see, it's minus 26. So the trick there is, when it's minus 26, when it's minus anything, you make it plus, and when it's plus anything, you make it minus. So dragging it up is plus, and taking it down, it's minus. So since it's reading minus 26 over here, so what I will do is I will take it plus 26. Since I did this to flatten out everything to make sure it's sitting right on the key, there is no need doing this because they are basically the same thing. So if you don't do that on Newton, then you can do this. They are actually doing the same thing. Yeah, so I'm just doing this to show you. If you don't do that in Newton, then over here you can do this to fine tune the sound and make sure it's hitting on the right key. So once that is done, remember we've selected the right key, F sharp, by right clicking here and fine tuning. Now the next thing we do is, at this point, if your project is on key D, just drag your MIDI to D. It will be D because you've already set the root notes, obeying the original key of that sample. So in this case, in my own case, it's on C. So I placed it on C, and as you can hear from the preview, it sounds clean. You know, it sounds really nice. I can see a little bit of the low end information. The mid is present. You know, it's punchy and it's cutting through, you know, if I may put it that way. But anyways, once that is done, The next thing I will do now is to preview to be sure that yes, what I said and what I set right now, it's actually what it is. So I'll just loop a little section here and call up span for us to see. So what do we have here? As you can see, it's on key of C. So this is to say it is absolutely correct. Now, talking about the experiment I made, this is the tool I used for the experiments, and what I did was I placed so many songs on the playlist and I listened to them one after the other, but I can't play it yet so that I don't get banned or whatever. So when I play them, I just pay close attention and see where the kick is reading. And when I see that, I will just take my mouse and see what key is that. So that was how I could figure it out. So that is that about it. And now when I set the kick, the next thing I do is to look for the bass instrument, which is this one right here. So I will play only the bass, which is actually on key F, the root note. That's where I want it to be, as you can see. And I'm using an 808 sub clean bass. So So that is the bass sample, the bass instrument. Now let's play together with the kick. So you can see the difference, right? Not only that it's sounding clean, it's sounding like something that you've side chained. Like the kick is not fighting the bass is not fighting the kick, and they are sitting nicely. Mind you, I've not even done any processing yet. No EQ, no compression, nothing. So think about it, when I now apply a little bit of cleaning, like using EQ to take off and fix one or two things and control the peaks with a clipper or compressor, believe you me, it's gonna be amazing. So now I will just play before and after. What I will do is I need to reset. Okay. Okay, so then I play. So what do you hear? So this is absolutely my go-to approach, my go-to technique on taking care of my kick and my bass. I might be wrong, but since there is no set on stone law when it comes to music production and how you handle your productions, if it works for you, then it works. Stick to it. So for me, I am sticking to this because it works. It is working for me. So anyways, that is that about it. And Oh, what again am I missing out? I think that's basically it. So, to recap, first of all, you find out the root note of the sample you want to work with. When you find out the roots and is determined by inserting span, play the sample, when you insert span, you play the sample, you find out the original root, which in my case it is F sharp. So when I discovered it's F sharp, I will just go to this channel sampler. I'll right click on the key, which is F sharp. Then when I put this there, I check how much cents it's reading. If it is reading plus, you make it minus. If it is reading minus, you make it plus. Then after that, I go to the MIDI, to the piano roll. I drag it to the key I want, but in my case, I want to place it on the fifth of my root, which is key C. And once that is done, you preview, and believe you me, it's gonna sound amazing. Please make out time to research this more and find out things that maybe I did not explain very well in this video. So that will be just it for today's tutorial. I hope this little tutorial of mine helps someone out there. Please, if it is not clear and you have question, feel free to leave it in the comment section. And if you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe red button and remember to turn on the notification bell for future uploads. And if you're a returning subscriber, I sincerely appreciate you. Thank you so much. So that will be it about how to dictate the key of your drum samples and how to correctly set them, to the key of the project you're working on. So stay positive, stay creative, keep making music, and stay blessed. Bye bye.